Hello, happy Friday to everyone. Here's why Meghan really cried at the Queen's funeral. Playing with people's feelings through manipulation is a way of controlling their hearts. I believe Meghan manipulates people and the situations to apply to her narrative, and she's trying to pull at heartstrings to get sympathy that she would be mourning the Queen. Let's continue. Oh, sorry. Didn't go back far enough. Here we go. There's the famous one tear. And there was a period of time when they were in the church that she was still seated, and that Harry had already stood up and everybody else around them, and he was looking at her and kind of making the emotion to stand up. She could have actually put some of that on, opened up the little lipstick case, spread some on her finger, and then touched it near her eye on the way out. So this is actually the video that we'll watch where she's talking about this special ability that she has.
I write my stories here, I take my meetings here, and it's kind of amazing because all over the world, if I'm traveling, Soho House can still be home base.
Now make yourself cry. Yeah. Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Meghan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
Funny how she hung out at the Soho House all the time. All right, so Meghanmarkle admits she can do this trick, but has she ever used it on Prince Harry? I'm sure she has. I'm sure she's cried, and like when she felt suicidal before they were going to the Royal Albert Music Hall. I'm sure she's used it many times on him. This is what the tear stick looks like that you can order right off Amazon for $20, buy at a Walmart or another discount store for as low as $14. And what it has is a menthol-infused wax, and it says for natural tears. So you can cry on cue. Don't know if that's something she used or if she's just able to think about something that will bring that single tear to her eye and drop down the middle. But anyway, this is all it says. It just talks about the instructions and how to apply it. And because of the menthol, that it will cause irritation to the eye and cause you to cry. Moving on, there she is wiping it away, and there's other pictures, and I looked for it here and didn't see it this time, that shows where she's wiped away something off her face, and you don't really notice the makeup being gone. So could it be the white area where she's wiped this tear stick on the finger of her gloves and then touches it up there later? There's one in here too where she's just looking ahead. Same moment Meghan cries as she joins Harry to watch the Queen's coffin. Meghan appearing to wipe a tear away during the state funeral. Just so fake. But there's another picture that I'll show you where she's looking dead ahead underneath the brim of the hat. But this, I wanted to touch on. Harry and Jack share an odd exchange when they're leaving out. And Harry looks over at Jack, and Jack, it looks like Harry is saying something. Jack doesn't say a word, pushes his glasses up, and kind of looks away and ignores him. And then they're kind of ignored by Eugenie and Jack as they go and enter the car. And Meghan's still looking at her. And Eugenie doesn't appear to make eye contact longer than maybe a second. So, and this is after he's looked forward. Harry's always got that scowl and angry look on his face. And see, then he looks back at Jack. There's something that has gone down between them. And we'd heard rumors a while back that Jack had went to approach Harry and Meghan for them to invest in something. And then it was rumored that the money was gone, or that it was a terrible investment, and that there might have been money borrowed from them. So I'm sure that's affected him greatly, because he probably told him, it's a family thing. You trust them and think it's a sure thing. Yeah, he was very uneasy with him, and you could just tell there was definitely tension between them. So getting back to Meghan and the tear. So, a narcissist fake crying. Fake emotions, characteristically, narcissists are not able to share reciprocal emotions. Therefore, they express emotions that seem appropriate. They may mimic emotions in order to gain leverage in a situation, like here looking for sympathy, but they're only actors. And as easily as they can turn the charm on, they can turn on the tears. So, what are some of the facts about narcissists and the reasons why they cry? It's easy to assume that narcissists are too cold-hearted to cry. However, that's not always the case. While some narcissists never cry, others can cry at the click of a finger, just like that. And Meghan seems to have that gift. The only reason a narcissist cries is for pure manipulation. Either they need to garner sympathy from you so that you don't leave, or will continue to hand over supply to them, or you are doing it to control you in some other way. Of course, she wants our sympathy. She wants the world's sympathy. She's such a victim. She's so hard done. This was her last chance. As they were leaving, these were the final things. She had to be good up until all of this time. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I shed a tear for the queen. So think about this. This is some interesting facts that I found. Throughout childhood, the narcissist suffered some type of trauma, which caused them to unconsciously perform a soul rejection. I believe this is when her mother was distanced from her and she was staying with the father, and then the mother had her for a while, and then the father seemed to be raising her again, and I'm sure that could give her feelings of neglect. So this could have come in the form of neglect, emotional or physical, or it could have come from excessive pampering, which I believe she got from the father, giving them an unhealthy, skewed version of themselves. I believe he always put her on a pedestal, that he always talked about how wonderful she was and how she could do anything she wanted and go out and change the world, and she took it literal. And I think he pumped her up about the letter to Hillary. I'm not sure. There's never been proof that that was done, or any proof that Procter & Gamble actually removed the ad about the dish detergent. I just have a hard time talking about that. It is so fake. It's like when she was on Ellen and she was talking about how her car door wouldn't open and she had to crawl over the back seat and the trunk and exit out through there because she had a broken door handle. Just can't believe anything she says. Either way, the narcissist completely severed the connection with their true self in order to shelter themselves from their most painful truth. And I think that's what she did. That's why we think she lives in an altered reality, that it's like fantasy, and where she tried to sell the whole thing about how she was so hard done and grew up so poor and, you know, had to work and scrape and save and get scholarships for everything. So anyway, let's go on. It says, but they're actually a flawed human being just like everybody else. We're all full of flaws. For the survival of the ego, it needs to make sure that under no circumstances does the narcissist ever glimpse the painful truth that they're in fact not perfect. In order to achieve this, it's created a false self, which is complete inversion of who they truly are. The false self lives in a fabricated reality, see? Whereas the narcissist is a superior and perfect God. See, she's just perfect. She can't find anything wrong with herself. She blames everybody else when things go wrong. It's either her staff or it's all these people that, don't like her color, whatever it is. With that superiority comes entitlement and arrogance, and we know she has that because they believe the entire universe revolves around them and that everybody is in it merely as a tool for them to use. Yeah, they use friends, they use you, they use the connections, they use all of these other, use their PR firm, Sunshine Sachs, and getting all of their articles published that said what they wanted it to say. And I need to do one on the Cup magazine because I swear they just ripped her to shreds in there. The whole issue with false self-reality that doesn't actually exist. However, for the psychological survivor of the narcissist, the existence of the false reality is absolutely crucial. That it would ever diminish and fall away, they would be left with nothing but their empty black hole inside. She has nothing else. She has to play the victimhood, push her narrative, which is where their true self used to live before they banished it. meaning when they went through a trauma, whether it was just overindulgence or whether it was, neglectfulness. I do believe that she just changed. It wasn't when she got into Soho House. I think every point in her life just created this bigger sense of, bigger ego, self-entitlement. So let me skip around here. This way, going to the second paragraph, the narcissist achieves consistent affirmation is through attention. So both good and bad are unutilized because it all serves to confirm for their ego, yes, you really do exist. On a deeper level, the narcissists cut off their own access to divine life force energy, which we are all born with. It's through this life force energy that we're able to experience true love, happiness, empathy, kindness, and compassion. But they don't. So when a narcissist emulates crying, sadness, or any other human emotion, it's important to remember that it can never be real coming from them. It can never be real when they're emulating crying, sadness, or other human emotions like compassion, sympathy, and so on. They actually do not have the resources to experience those emotions. They don't. They just don't have time for it. Their brain works in one way, and it's all about them and themselves and what they want to have happen in their lives, and they just push forward and ignore anybody who's negative or tells them something that they don't want to hear. The fact is, the narcissists don't feel sadness or remorse like we do, but they can imitate it incredibly well if the circumstances are ripe to serve their agenda, like having the world press follow you leaving the funeral service of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. And this is the last time she's going to be seen in public with them. This is the last service. So she's been good up until then, and then she just has to drop this single tear. On some level, the narcissist does believe they're on crying, but probably not for the reasons you'd think. In a moment or loss of pain or sadness, the narcissist isn't authentically feeling any of those heavy human emotions because they lack the capacity to do so. That's the whole point. What they're experiencing is the utter fear that they're about to lose control over a person and or situation. That feeling of terror inside of them is most definitely a real feeling because losing control for them equates to losing precious narcissistic supply. They need all of this supply. They need this fuel so that they feel good about themselves. But when things don't go their way and they don't keep control over people or a situation, then that actually drains their fuel supply. So here's a couple of examples. Like you're about to walk out the door because you've had enough of their behavior. They cry, they play on your empathy and get you to stay in order to continue handing over your energy and resources to them. And number two, here we go. This pertains to the tear at the funeral. A close family member of theirs dies. The narcissist cries for themselves because they have lost a valuable ally who believed their false reality and helped to prop it up for them. Well, Queen Elizabeth didn't really believe their false narrative. She was perplexed, confused, and disappointed by the things that they did. But, get something to drink here. But for her to give them their attention, to be kind to them, then that's all they want. Then they think that they're winning. The narcissist doesn't cry for you or anybody else. They cry for themselves and what they're set to lose or have just lost. What if she's crying thinking, we're not going to be in the will. We're going to be disinherited. And now we can't get in and get our foot halfway in the door because King Charles is not going to allow that. They thought they had more years. They didn't see her dying this soon, or they would have went and visited. So now, what are they going to do? They've lost the only ally that still showed them love and forgiveness and respect, and that was the Queen. So to the Montecito lovebirds, Don't play the victim to your circumstances that you created. Meghan and Harry, everything that's happened to you, the circumstances that you find yourself in, are all because of your actions and that of the people that you pay to put out your PR fluff. So you have nobody else to blame, even though you do. You need to look inwards, look in the mirror at yourself. So thank you for being here. Count every day as a blessing, and may each of you be blessed today and have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching.